Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about self pity or that feeling of being that the world is just conspiring to do you in. You feel like you're totally overwhelmed with trouble. And it feels like you can't get out from underneath it. I have felt that way in my life. It's very common to feel that way in your life. One of the things that I've noticed in my life is sometimes that overwhelm can come as something major, the death of a loved one, an illness, something major, something very, very big and impactful. But sometimes it can come like in the disguise of little cuts. So it's like a little cut, a thousand little cuts, a thousand little insults to you, little things here and there. Um, and that's more prevalent. That definitely is more prevalent. And unfortunately, the more you concentrate on that one little cut, the more something else will insult you. Something else will pop up. So you kind of are looking for trouble. So the one thing that describes this really well, and I'm going to read it to you now, is that first paragraph of the Friends song from the TV show Friends. There is a theme song to that, and it starts with, "So no one told you your life was going to be this way. Your job's a joke, you're broke, your love life's DOA. It's like you're always stuck in second gear when it hasn't been your week, your month, and maybe even your year." So that's a perfect description of it, where you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just stuck in this. I can't get out of it. It feels like you're covered in like molasses, just stuck, trying to pull yourself out of it. Very difficult thing to feel. So, how do you stop feeling that? What are the one of the things that you can do to start thinking about like getting out of that mindset? Well, one of the first things that I do is I actually start thinking about like, is this the worst it could get? Now that seems kind of crazy because I'm actually going to put it up on a measuring board to see if it's as bad as something else. But it is actually a really good thing to put it into scale. One of the things I heard when I was a young child was a saying that, I used to complain I had no shoes until I met the man who had no feet. So again, if you put it into a scale, you'll see like, oh, well, it's not really as bad as that. Um, Crazily, I pull it up. Is this going to kill me? Is this the end of me? Um, and, that actually helps a lot because obviously, if somebody's insulted me and I feel bad about that, that's not going to kill me. That's not going to kill me. We're going to be all right. Or if I've got the flu, hopefully, God willing, that will not kill me if I do things right. And if God spares me. So that's what you can do. You can put it in perspective. Is this like, how bad is this? Think of that little saying, I complained about having no shoes till I met the man with no feet. So think like, what would be worse than this that I'm dealing with? What would be worse? Now, knowing that, don't trivialize what you're going through. There's been times where I've had like little things coming at me and I felt overwhelmed. And then there's been other times where something major has hit me and I was prepared for it and not overwhelmed. So don't give yourself like all kinds of trouble because you think like you're not handling this right. So that's the first thing, like, put it in context. The second thing that I found was to realize that I'm not the only person who's ever felt this. And I'm probably not even the only person who's feeling it right this very minute. So if you look at the idea of COVID, like we're all going through like all kinds of problems with COVID. Now that can bring loneliness, it can bring despair, obviously can bring, illness and death into our lives. But when knowing that it's actually not just us that's going through it, that there's a lot of other people that are going through it, it makes it a little bit more tolerable. Tolerable is the word. Strangely, when you reach out to people who are going through it, if you talk to people who are going through the same level of loneliness, you'll be able to cope. If you talk to somebody who also lost a loved one, you can mourn together and rise above it. So, are you the only person going through it? Are you the only person? Is it as bad as it could be? And are you the only person going through it? The third thing is an ecological thing, the ecology, like the surroundings. There's a book, and this kind of came to me later on in life. There's a book that I saw, and I thought, wow, that title is the coolest title ever. The title of the book is The Jungle is Neutral. And the reason I thought that was the coolest title ever is because it speaks to this self-pity. First, let me tell you that book, I have not read it. I read a quote from it and I went, oh, yeah. So the book is about a British soldier during World War II and how he's, fighting the Japanese during World War II. So it's, again, it's not something I have read, and it's not something I'm keen to read either. I'm just not into like war stories as much as just not, it's not my thing. But anyway, the book is called The Jungle is Neutral. And I thought, how cool is that? And the reason I'm thinking it's cool is because God and the world does not conspire. If you have something going on and you think, why me? Well, why not you? Why not you? Like, why should you get extra special treatment? Why should you avoid heartache and pain? We don't get to do that. We don't get to say yes or no. I'm going to read you a quote from that book that just blew me away. The quote is, the truth is the jungle is neutral. The jungle is neutral. It provides any amount of fresh water and unlimited cover for friend as well as foe. An armed neutrality, if you like, but neutrality nevertheless. It is the attitude of mind that determines whether you go under or survive. So that's a really cool thing to think about, like how you look at this. Are you looking at your troubles as this is going to overwhelm me and I'm never going to be able to get out from under it? Or are you looking at your troubles as, wow, I wonder what I need to do to get out from under this, which is probably the way to go. Or are you looking at it as, oh, this is just part of the horrendous life that I have been given, where I'm living under this cloud of, despair. So all something to think about, all something to think about. I'm not saying don't feel self-pity, because you should. There's times where, you should. You're like, life is really like kicking you. You feel like, just like that song, you're just love life's dead. Your job stinks. Everything is wrong. You have times like that. But the key thing is it doesn't last. Nothing lasts. So you don't have to have, and the more you focus on it, the more you'll make it last. So I hope that helps to put it in perspective. And one of the things that I can tell you is, if you can just keep it simple, am I the only person it ever happened to? And how worse could it be? And finally, do I really think that the whole world is conspiring against me, or is it neutral and it just happens? I hope you like that, and I will talk to you soon.